All right, let's cross live to former CIA analyst Larry Johnson, CEO of Berg Associates. Larry, good to have you on the program with us for your analysis. We heard Vladimir Putin speak just over an hour ago saying that Russia will respond to any escalation against his country. What message is Moscow sending to Ukraine and its Western allies, you think?
Well, number one, he sent the message that the United States should have stayed in the Intermediate Range Nuclear Forces Treaty, which Donald Trump walked away from in 2018. President Putin was very precise in saying that, Russia had launched an intermediate range ballistic missile. Under that INF treaty, they differentiated between what were called short, medium range missiles. That was the 500 to 1,000 kilometer range. So like the Storm Shadow Scout missiles, we're calling those long range, but they're not really long range. They fall under the short, medium range category. The next category up is the intermediate range, which goes from 1,000 to 5,500 kilometers. And what Russia demonstrated earlier today, was a ballistic missile, an intermediate range ballistic missile with MIRV capability. That means multiple independently re-entry vehicles. So that a warhead is not just one warhead, it's multiple warheads, and on top of it, hypersonic. So Vladimir Putin was sending a very clear message to the United States and to Europe that Russia now has the ability to respond with a weapon system that the West is incapable of defending against, a weapon system that can reach to the United Kingdom, that can reach anywhere in Europe, and that Russia is prepared to do so if the British and the French persist in using missiles that are being launched into Russian territory. This is an act of war on the part of the West.
It's certainly a dangerous escalation with this Western approval for long-range strikes against Russia, which we saw Ukraine attempt to do this week with U.S. and U.K. manufactured weapons. We've heard talk for quite some time now about the potential for World War III, but where do you think this is headed? Do you think that this could actually lead us to a world war?
Yes, I do. The problem is the West has a combination of what I call confirmation bias and reporting bias on the intelligence side. They've already formed in their mind what they think Russia's capabilities are, what Russia's intentions are. They are completely misunderstanding and underestimating both Russia's capabilities and Russia's will to respond. Let's flip the tables. If Russia had supplied Mexican narcotics gangs with short-range medium missiles that were being launched into U.S. territory along the Texas-Mexican border or Arizona or New Mexico, the United States would view that as an act of war and would retaliate immediately. Yet, we think we can do that to Russia, and Russia's just got to sit back and take it. Frankly, I've been amazed at the patience of the Russian authorities and putting up with this. And I think now President Putin and his National Security Cabinet have made it clear this is going to stop, the line is drawn, and if this continues, Russia reserves correctly the right under international law to respond, to retaliate, and to bring this to an end.
Yeah, the U.S. President Joe Biden had resisted giving approval for Ukraine to use long-range missiles up until this point, until the Democratic Party lost the election just a few weeks ago. It's about 2 months now until Donald Trump takes the oath and becomes president again. Why would Biden do this now? Why would he wait until after his party lost the election to authorize this?
One, to embarrass Donald Trump if he can, because Trump has bragged that he'll bring an end to this war in 24 hours. That's not going to happen. And by complicating it with the possibility of ramping this up to the level of a war, the more extreme possibility is that he hopes to provoke a war, making that would impose perhaps martial law in the United States and make it impossible for Trump to take office on January 20th. These people are not working with the interests of U.S. national security or world peace at heart. And let's recall that these missiles, these ATACMS with the long-distance range, they were sent to Ukraine back in April. So, we're talking more than 5-6 months ago.
Can Biden even do that, though? I mean, is he even authorized to make this decision to allow Ukraine to use weapons to strike into Russia? I've seen some Republican members of Congress suggest that this is an impeachable offense. I mean, is this something that Biden can even do?
Yeah, I would argue that it is an impeachable offense, but, you know, he doesn't care. What, you know, they're going to impeach him. They're going to remove him from office. Mm-hmm. He's going to be removed from office anyway in 2 months. Why does he care? I mean, he's like a suicide bomber at this point.
Doesn't care about his legacy, apparently. The Russian president says that Russia gives warnings before conducting these missile attacks, yet Ukraine does not. What are your thoughts on that statement?
Well, it's not only does Russia give warnings. Russia has been very precise in following both bureaucratic and legal procedure. The development of the upgrade in the nuclear doctrine that was announced on Monday came after a protracted process of internal review with comments from the different elements in the Russian government. At the same time, Russia, throughout the special military operation, has been very careful to avoid targeting civilian areas, in contrast to Ukraine, which has routinely targeted civilian areas and killed civilians. So it is, Russia has avoided doing, what the United States did in Iraq and in Afghanistan, where we bombed civilian areas and killed civilians. We really had no regard for the humanity on the ground. It was all about flexing muscle and exerting control to the extent that we could.
And going back to what you said just a few moments ago about Donald Trump saying that he would end the conflict within 24 hours of taking office, and I know you said that that's basically impossible now. Is there anything that the incoming administration can do in the meantime, or are their hands tied?
Well, what Trump could speak out more forcefully. I mean, he did make a pretty forceful statement the other day saying that this was taking us to World War III. I think he would be incumbent upon him now to speak out and call for a stand down and to withdraw this permission. But the Biden administration is going to do what the Biden administration wants to do. Again, they have nothing to lose. They've lost. And so when you've got somebody, it's like somebody being diagnosed with a terminal illness. They'll be willing to take risk at that point that they might not have prior to that diagnosis.
Larry, you're speaking to us from the United States, so you have a better perspective on the pulse of how people are feeling there. But what do people in America think about this? Are they paying attention? Are people concerned?
Most aren't paying attention. The concern is only among those who try to pay attention to foreign policy events. The average American is oblivious to this. They don't understand what's going on. The news media, if anything, will portray this as Russian aggression and try to portray this as the United States has an obligation to respond to Russia's intents to recreate the Soviet empire and take over the world. I mean, it's all nonsense. It's nothing but lies and propaganda, but that's what people are hearing. And, that's why I do what I do on social media, and others like, Judge Napolitano and the Duran. There's a whole host of folks in social media that try to get the word out that the world, the true nature of the world in terms of its security is not as the mainstream media presents it.
All right. Larry Johnson, former CIA analyst and CEO of Berg Associates. Larry, thank you.
Thank you so much, Rachel. Have a good day.